Hey guys, Colorado Camperman Brian here. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of this Tozalazz 12 volt air compressor. I was in the market for an air compressor that's portable because when we go out, when we go camping, we have a Chevy 2500 truck and you're supposed to have the PSI on the tires at 80 PSI in the rear and 60 PSI in the front. Well, for those of you who have ridden in a 3/4 ton truck or bigger, they are not the greatest on dirt roads because of how stiff the suspension is. And I've always wanted to be able to air down my tires and then air them back up. So I'd actually been in the market for an air compressor, and Tozalazz actually reached out to me and said, hey, we'd be willing to give you this in exchange for a review. And I said yes, because I had actually found this on Amazon and had considered buying it myself. I'll show you guys some of the features of this air compressor. I'll show you guys, everything that comes with it, and then we'll actually inflate the tires and see how this thing does. So let's talk a little bit about the specs of the air compressor. At 0 PSI, this thing is at 11.65 CFMs and then 7 CFM at 30 PSI. So supposedly it's only supposed to take about 2 minutes for the average four-wheel drive tire to fill up. So they say, for example, that this air compressor takes 1 minute to air up a truck tire from 10 PSI to 40 PSI on a 33-inch tire. It does have the dual cylinder air compressor, so it is supposed to fill up a lot faster. It also has an auto thermal cutoff protection, so it will make sure that this air compressor shuts off before it would ever overheat. Along with that, you do get a 24-month warranty. So if you ever have any issues, their average response time, Tozalazz said that they'll respond back within 5 hours of you reaching out to them. All right, so you do get this really nice soft case with the air compressor. It is a little padded, which is nice. It fits in there, as well as all the other accessories. You do get a hose. It's a pretty long hose. I want to say it's probably 20-25 feet long. It is a quick connect, so quick connects here at the bottom, and then you screw on the attachment, which will fill up your tire. You do get a couple other attachments, so if you were going to do something other than fill up your tires, you have the little plugs right there, and then you do have a pressure gauge on here too. This air compressor does go directly onto your battery versus plugging into a 12 volt socket, and the reason for that is because then you do this with your car running and it's a lot more powerful. So one other reason I was interested in a larger air compressor like this is because I do carry a portable air compressor with me. However, it only goes up to 50 PSI. And as I had mentioned earlier, my front truck tires are supposed to be at 60 PSI and my rear truck tires are supposed to be at 80 PSI. So that 50 PSI really is only good for our trailer tires or in emergency situations for the truck. So I'm going to go ahead and get the air compressor hooked up. You do have to have your vehicle running in order to do so, but you're just going to hook it up to your battery, make sure your car is on, and then just turn the air compressor on. And we will see how long it's going to take to get my tire here. It's at 60 PSI. My truck was giving me a bunch of warnings and stuff because it's supposed to be at 80. So we're going to see how long it takes to get my tires aired up from 60 PSI to 80 PSI. So as you guys can see, we're at 58 PSI. Hopefully you can see that. And I do not have it turned on. This is showing about the same thing, maybe a little bit less. Click that on. Yeah, the same, we're at about 56. So let's see how long it takes to get us to 80. Oh. All right, so it took about 2 minutes, 53, 54 seconds, something like that, to fill the tire up from 60 to 80 PSI. So a little bit longer, no doubt. Let's see what we read with the digital reader. 79 PSI, 79 PSI, 80 PSI. So yeah, this thing seems to be pretty accurate, assuming that this digital reader is accurate too. Just gonna show you guys here the hose. I would say this is every bit of 25 feet because my truck is about 22 feet long. It's crew cab, long bed, and this is all the way up at the front. And then your hookup here is maybe about 6 feet. It'd be kind of nice if this cable was a little bit longer, but that's okay. And for noise, they rate this thing at, I think, 65 PSI, which I would say that's probably pretty accurate. It's actually not as loud as I was expecting. I'm used to like my big 2-gallon air compressor at home, and this thing is a lot quieter than that. Not too shabby. Alright guys, so overall, this air compressor, I would say I definitely recommend it for sure. Before I agreed to do this review, I actually did a lot of research myself to make sure that this was a quality air compressor. It got really good reviews on Amazon, and there are some other guys that did some review videos and they really seem to like it. Things that I like about it, the handle is good. It is a little bit bigger, however, it still is relatively compact, and I like the fact that they give you a case to put everything in, and everything fits in there pretty well. It's not like some things that you get where, you know, the case is just barely bigger. This fits in there pretty snugly for sure. I also really like this hose. It feels heavy duty. It's very easy to roll up. You know, sometimes you get some of those cheap air compressor hoses and they just never roll up good, and they're so hard to get back to form like this, but it seems like a good quality heavy duty hose. I also really like the fact that the gauge is built into the hose, so you can watch the pressure go up as you're filling up your tire. That's really awesome, I think. That way you know exactly when to stop, and it does seem pretty accurate too. So overall, guys, I gotta say I really do like this air compressor. Really, the only downside I would say of it is it did take a little bit longer than I was hoping to get my tire from 60 PSI to 80 PSI, because we were only going up 20 PSI, but it does seem like once you get into that higher PSI, you know, 60 to 80, this thing is not quite as fast, because they do advertise up to 40 PSI. It's only supposed to take 2 minutes. Going from like 0 to 40. So if you guys are overlanders, this may still really work out for you. I'll put a link to a video that I watched about this, where a guy took his tires, I think, from like 3 PSI to 35 or 40 PSI, and it did it relatively fast, all 4 tires. So I'll put a link to that video. But thank you, Tozalazz, for sending me this. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Check out some of my other videos if you haven't, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.